Welcome everyone, Christine here with a discussion about Total War Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires Thrones of Decay to talk about Balthasar Gelt, because he certainly has gotten a very lovely toy box to play with in his new campaign. Specifically, what I want to talk about are his mages, and oh boy are they powerful. You get Cataclysm spells now, and just look at the thing in this damn bell. It's like someone tore a hole in the space-time continuum over there. It's pretty damn terrifying, I gotta say, and it's really, when you look at this, you kind of understand why witch hunters exist, really. And that's Vlad. Yes, Vlad getting obliterated in a battle. Granted, I ambushed him, though the reason I ambushed him is because mage power. So the spells look cool, and you gotta appreciate the effort Creative Assembly has really put into making these things look freaking awesome, because holy crap, for a campaign that already existed, damn. So talking about mages in a campaign situation, which ones are useful, which ones are not? Well, the short answer to that question is all of them, to one degree or another. The long answer is all of them, though of course it depends on the situation and where you want to put your resources in a campaign. So, let me go over the most useful ones from my perspective and the least useful ones, because certainly there are some better than others, especially against certain foes. Again, it's going to depend on what you're dealing with in particular in a campaign. So the way you recruit mages is you use the colleges of magic and you recruit a wizard for a certain amount of cost of arcane essays. Pretty simple to understand. The cost escalates the more mages you recruit during the course of your campaign. So initially it might be 100, but then it goes up to 200, 300, 250, all that kind of stuff, right? It increases by increments of 50. Now that's not too bad, and that means that Gelt has an enormous amount of defensive capability, because when you recruit these mages, they have movement range, so you can recruit them across your empire. If, you know, a rogue army shows up or a rebellion appears, you can easily deal with that with these mages, because they're magic users, and you're going to recruit them at a higher rank because Gelt has those faction benefits. Like, he has hero recruit rank +2, and then he gets other benefits as well. So a significant level of power that Gelt does have access to over here through the colleges of magic. Now, talking about the various schools of magic, you gotta understand, like, there's always going to be like some item that you can get for different types of mages, and then you're going to be able to reduce winds of magic cost for that particular school of magic. So some item that gives you certain benefits, generally, of course, improving the magic, but also some other abilities, like this one has a redirect aura and barrier hit points, for instance. Now, the most useful one, from my perspective, is shadow magic, Grey Wizards, the Grey College. You effectively should want to have a Grey Wizard in every army, minus Gelts, but that's because I'm gonna get Ulrika for this particular army and put her there. That's the reasoning right there. Though, to be fair, Shadow Mage would be useful still. Now, each mage has a special skill line now, and it depends on the schools of magic. A Shadow Wizard, a Grey Wizard, gives you ambush success chance, slippery, and stalk. So he's fast, he can hide, and you can do ambushes better with him. But if we look at the special abilities from the colleges of magic, what he does offer you on the campaign and battle situation is incredible. You get mass concealment, 6-turn cooldown, stalk stands for a target army for 2 turns, ambush success chance 100%. This is the best ambush success chance with stalk stands in the entire game. Alifanar wishes he had this. Skaven wish they had this. So that's incredibly powerful, and it's how I defeated Vlad over there, because I had the full stack, he was damaged, but he's still freaking Vlad, and he had Isabella. And even then, he did quite better than I expected. I wasn't necessarily taking that battle too seriously. Each College of Magic also has a Cataclysm spell that's going to be available in battle. So you have a campaign effect, generally speaking, and which in this case is stock stance, and then you have a Cataclysm spell. Spells that cost 20 winds of magic, so pretty expensive, and have one use. You can increase the usage through research. Over here, special research that's available to Gelt that increases the ability number of uses for Cataclysm spells. Though given their cost in battle, it may not necessarily be worth it that much, to prioritize at least. You do get extra winds of magic for every wizard you have in an army, but obviously you're not just going to be able to cast every single spell that you want. Now, the Great Wizards, they give you Dance of Despair. That big void zone is freaking terrifying. It doesn't do any damage, but it reduces leadership, removes undead, construct, unbreakable, demonic, and elemental. Up against slayers, up against undead, up against demons, up against tomb kings. This is an exceptionally useful ability. And yeah, undead units lose fear and terror, immunity, they have morale, they can be broken, is an enormous benefit. Like in this particular campaign, I confederated Averheim because they were about to be wiped out by Vlad. And so I confederated them. I had a full stack at my disposal. And I fought Vlad and then 6 other armies. But the way I was able to win is with these Cataclysm spells. And I would argue this was the most useful one of them. So at the very top and number 1 is the Grey Wizards. Okay, so that's number 1. What is number 2? Fire Wizards. No, actually, they're in third position. Celestial Wizards. Bit surprising, Celestial magic hasn't necessarily been the best magic in the game, but you gotta understand, it's not just about the spells a mage has inherently, it's about campaign abilities and those Cataclysm spells as well. So Celestial Wizards, let me take a look at one. Celestial Wizards, they give you campaign movement range plus 5%, ambush defense chance, and campaign line of sight. For this skill alone, I would dare argue you should have a Celestial Mage in every army. Shadow Wizards can be useful in battles, but these guys are not only just useful in battles, of course, because they're still mages. Maybe not the best magic in the world, but campaign movement range, being able to defend against ambushes, being able to see threats before they materialize, exceptionally useful. All mages, by the way, get armor and speed, so pretty damn powerful. So yeah, Celestial Wizards on that alone, really worth getting. Then you get every 10 turns, right? There's a cooldown here. 8 turns, it says, sorry. By every 8 turns, you get the ability of instantly replenishing action points for an army, for any army. So you can move, take a settlement, replenish the movement points, move to the next settlement, and you get more campaign movement range to do so. Exceptionally useful on its own. And you can further increase the ambush defense chance plus 50% with this item that they have. So if you're dealing with Skaven, these are really good. If you're dealing with Wood Elves, if you're dealing with Alif and R, exceptional ability right here. If you're dealing with any enemy that you might think has an ambush, really good stuff to have. I will only talk about items if they're really important. Then you get the Thunderstorm. It does take a while to do the damage. It does, it does damage in an area over time with the number of projectiles it's doing, but it's a lot of damage, 672 with explosive damage as well. So really good wizards to have. Bright Wizards. Well, if we look at the item, we get a weapon, a staff, that can only, like these weapons can only be equipped by Bright Wizards, give you flaming attacks, and burnt effect, reducing leadership. You get the Bright Key, which causes wall breaches and destroys defensive supplies. Now, the Empire artillery recruitment is significantly better in 5.0 than it was before, but even so, having the ability of breaching a wall with a Bright Wizard for 2 turns whenever you're sieging a settlement means that you have more opportunities to attack. And wall breaches, while you wouldn't necessarily want to rush infantry as the Empire, because your infantry line isn't the best, you do want to have your handgunners have lines of fire. And that's what the Bright Wizard is going to do. Luminarcs, Hellstorms, etc. Just a lot of flexibility there. And destroying all enemy defensive supplies, so sieges are less annoying. Magma Storm, good against a single unit, does a good amount of damage, really high level of power, and good against armor. So but Bright Wizards, I would say, are really good because of being able to deal with sieges, and there's going to be a lot of sieges. So number 3 position for fire wizards, for bright wizards. And number 4, well, this one's going to be interesting, amber wizards. I am not joking. I haven't really thought all that much about amber wizards, honestly. Like, I've always felt there's better schools of magic that you have access to in the game. I mean, certainly for certain races it's worth it. For the Empire, I've always prioritized other ones. But let's take a look at the amber wizards. They remove terror, they remove fear with one of their items, with their item. And it's an armor item, causes terror. You get Call of the Wild. This isn't a spell that requires winds of magic. This is an ability that gives you free uses and summons an elemental of beasts. Pretty powerful, good. Let's say you're fighting a battle against a powerful lord, then you just need that extra edge, or you don't have any capability of dealing with that lord or that powerful unit. The elemental of beasts will do that for you. Free uses, doesn't last all that long, but still. Their Cataclysm spell, not really all that great, I'm not gonna lie. But especially because you can unlock this, or maybe you can't actually. No, I'm thinking the research. Like when you look at the research here, it's affecting the spell, but I think that's just a tooltip issue. So I don't think you get extra usage of the spell. More damage, all that. If it was missile damage, sure, but melee damage, good with cavalry. Physical resistance, nothing to sneeze at, but not the best Cataclysm spell. Still, Call of the Wild, very useful ability because it's not going to consume winds of magic, so it's just an extra benefit. And on top of that, with Amber Wizards, I think I have one over here, they can ride Imperial Griffins. And I don't care what you say, they're mages, of course, so they're going to have limitations in terms of their combat capability, but a Griffin is a Griffin. Good amount of HP, good amount of durability, good amount of damage, and you can summon 2 Greyhawks for battle, 2 units of Greyhawks in a battle. So pretty good stuff over there, good debuff spells. So yeah, Amber Wizards, 4th position. 5th position. Well, it would have to be Death Wizards. You get an item that just reduces winds of magic cost. Not particularly great, but it also gives you Last Rites, which gives you power recharge and reserve per second with each kill made by the unit. Not fantastic, because yeah, but still. When we're looking, also when we're looking at the passive abilities, like I would only say the Celestial Wizard one is the most useful one, but yeah, summoning Greyhawks is pretty good. Looking at Death Wizards, you reduce battle healing cap. So if you're dealing with undead, if you're dealing with anyone that has healing, this is exceptionally good. And also they work well with the Gunpowder line. This is one of the reasons Elspeth works very well with them. You reduce leadership, and crucially you reduce armor of units. So your Gunpowder line becomes much more deadly when you're adding in Soul Blight to an army. So that's really useful for Death Wizards. Moving on, we have Life. Jade Order. Now the Jade Order, very situational, I would say in a campaign, but still really worth it. Their Cataclysm spell, not that great. I mean, it's a heal spell, it's vigor per second, okay. If we look at what they're adding to an army, they increase the battle healing cap and immune to contact effects, but yeah, I'm not necessarily impressed with the Jade Wizards in terms of their spells. Item-wise, they get more battle healing cap, and they get regrowth upgraded. And then, yeah, the Jungle Swarm, the Storm of Renewal, not particularly great, but every 10 turns, they can instantly heal an army. So you can go in a battle that's very brutal. You may lose a lot of units, or you may be in climate where you're just constantly taking attrition damage, or not able to recover from losses quickly. Do you have good replenishment as the Empire Warrior Priest? But that Jade Wizard is going to give you full healing. So you can go in battles and take risks you wouldn't be able to otherwise. You can take down powerful Legendary Lords, you can take down multiple stacks, as long as you keep your units alive to fight another day. Or you can use them in such a way that you can fight multiple battles with the same army in the same turn, and just recover from those losses instantly. So, like, let's say, you know, I'm dealing with multiple stacks of the enemy. I might go in a battle, do as much damage as I can, retreat, heal fully if my guys have been damaged, attack again, and all that until I win. So that's what's very useful about them. Life wizards, or light wizards. Sorry. I gotta admit, I'm not particularly fond of these guys for a number of reasons. To be fair, like, I'm just gonna say this about the light wizards. They give you aura protection, so that's damage resistance. They do their spell, their basic spell, the Burning Gaze, is significantly better now. Because of the changes to homing missiles, they will do significantly more damage. I've noticed this in the first Karl Franz campaign I played once I got access to 5.0. Lots more damage. Obviously not the best against every unit, but still significantly more useful. More accurate, does more damage to units. So light wizards are useful in a combat scenario, so they're worth recruiting. But they give you a barrier. It's not bad, but it's not fantastic. And the Empire is a range faction, and you're dealing with a lot of spells, so barrier, limited use. Though you will have a lot of Pegasus heroes, so, you know, swoop in and out of combat with that, regenerate barrier, good, but yeah. And then you get Time Amok. This is, honestly, of the Cataclysm spells, like for 20 Winds of Magic you want me to spend to get speed and charge bonus, or immobilizing an enemy, yeah, light wizards, don't sell it to me in any way. Especially because we have Time Warp, which is cheaper. So if we look at Time Warp, at least in terms of speed, right? It's not going to give you charge, but it's going to give you melee attack. So pros and cons with that particular approach, but honestly, I'm just not really sold on that. I mean, it's useful with cavalry, but cavalry is to protect your flanks in an Empire campaign. It's not necessarily to win the battle on their own. Could be useful in a full cavalry army, but very limited scenarios. And then finally, the last school of magic, gold. In last spot. I know, this sounds crazy, but let me explain. So, with the other schools, you get items for the mages. With the school of gold, with the old college, you get items for Gelt. Good items, to be sure. Worth to get eventually, right? But they can only be equipped by Gelt. And you do get Gehenna's Golden Globe, but you don't need a gold wizard for that. I mean, certainly their magic is exceptionally useful in battle, undeniably so, but you don't need a gold wizard because you start with this college unlocked. You don't need to recruit one. Transmutation, again, you can do this from the very beginning of your campaign. Get 3,500 gold in your treasury, but again, Gelt is a gold wizard, so you have this unlocked. Obviously extremely useful, undeniably so, very cheap, every 3 turns for 150 arcane essays, 3,500 treasury. You can basically add over 1,000 gold to Gelt's income when you're playing him. Exceptionally useful, but you don't need to focus on this goal. And then Compelled Corrosion, I'm not, depends on the enemies, right? If you're facing Warriors of Chaos or Cafe, absolutely. Many other enemies, reducing their armor is always going to be useful. If you're dealing with Vlad, exceptionally useful, but it's one of those very, very situational things. Like, would I rather reduce the armor of the enemy by 30, or would I rather blow up their leadership? I'd rather blow up their leadership. So, gold wizards, bottom on the list, again, they're all worth using, but that's where I stand. So, hopefully this explains it for you. Costin signing out. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and enable notifications. Stay tuned for more. And if you'd like to help me out, we're all going for some rough times right now, consider donating via PayPal or Patreon. Links in the description. Stay tuned.